Hello, I'm going to be binding the actual journals today, so we are going to have a complete book by the end of this video, but it won't be finished in this one. I will have another video yet to come. I've sort of done it a bit backwards. I'd have planned to do the embellishing and things in this video and then do the binding at the very end, but I'm actually going to switch those around. We're going to bind it this time and then we're going to add a few more embellishments in the next video before I do a final flip through, so stay tuned to see how it kind of all evolves and comes together and is how it ends up being completed, I should say. So before I start binding, I had an idea today to do some crocheting on the edge of my cover, and I did this in my personal journal, which you just saw me show you, and I thought I'd add it to the edge of this journal just because I thought it looked nice. So I'm showing you here that I'm marking it at 1 centimetre. I'm marking each hole at 1 centimetre, and I'm using an awl to poke through those holes to make them big enough to fit my crochet hook. Now I'm using a 2.5mm crochet hook. You can, I don't know if you can get a smaller one. This is the smallest one I have. I'm not sure if you can get an even smaller one. I mean, this one was fiddly enough, so it was small enough for me. So I'm using my finger to kind of roughly mark how far I need to push the hole through. And I found about halfway up the awl was about perfect. So this is not going to be a crochet tutorial by any stretch. I'm just doing a real standard crocheting stitch along here. So I made a magic loop. I'm pulling a loop through. So I put my hook through the first hole, pulled a loop through, and then I put the thread over and pulled it through. So essentially a single crochet. I know crocheting in American terms because I learned to crochet by YouTube. So I'm not entirely sure what it is in the UK terms, but I do think most of my audience is US based anyway, so hopefully that makes sense to you. So I'm going to show you a bit closer up now, a bit more established. I put the hook through, put the thread over, pull it through, thread over again, pull through both loops, and then I'm going to chain one. So again, put the hook through, pull the thread through, thread over and through the two loops and chain one. And then again through the hole, and I'm going to do that right to the end. So it's really simple. You don't have to chain one in between. I just found that this helped the two threads that come up out of each hole on my personal journal look a bit sort of wonky, and I found that chaining one in between just made them look a bit more uniform, a bit neater. So what I'm doing here, I've managed to fudge up the first half of it and I was getting really frustrated with it. So now I'm a bit more established. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm doing double crochet. I'm doing 6 double crochet into each space between the two holes. So you can see here I'm working in that space between two holes and I'm doing double crochets. So I'm pulling through 2 loops, pulling through 2 loops to finish. So thread over, pull it through, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops, and I'll do 6 of those in each space. And then once I've done those 6, I am going to slip stitch into the next space. The next space you can see is between that V. There are 2 threads that come out of the hole, and I will slip stitch between those 2 threads, and that really pulls the sort of the peaks down. It really gives you a nice rounded edge to the lace. So to slip stitch, you don't put any thread over your hook, you just push your hook into the space. There we go. Pull the thread through and then pull that thread straight through the last hole, the last stitch that you're working. And again, thread over, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 for another double crochet, and again follow that with 5 more, so you end up with 6. So you end up with 6 double crochet, slip stitch into the chain space, 6 double crochet, slip stitch, and then right to the end. I don't finish it off at the end with anything, so I don't kind of slip stitch into anything right at the end. I just leave it on the last double crochet, and I cut my thread. What I will do to pull that end down to give it a nice sort of rounded edge right at the end is pull that thread through and tie it to the loose thread that was hanging there from the beginning. And that just makes it look nice and rounded. And there you go, you've got a nice little lace edge on the journal, which I think looks really cool. I like because it's a different element, so it's not stuck on, it's not sewn on, it's actually crocheted into the journal, which I just think looks pretty cool. And I'm going to thread in one of the loose ends, and I'm just going to push that through the bottom of a few of those stitches, about an inch of the way down, about the length of the needle, and just put it through and trim it off. The second one I did attempt to thread through, but I was getting really cross with it because it wasn't going into the needle, so I just cut it off in the end. My personal journal, I just cut the threads off because I'm okay with it. So you do whatever you want to do. That you could tie little charms onto those loose threads. That would look pretty cool. I reckon that would look really nice. Add some beads onto it maybe. So you can get creative. There. With the holes at the back, where I've pushed them through, they're sticking out at the back and they look a real mess. So what I'm doing is using my awl to push the holes back down, and that neatens it up and it's acceptable again. What I would probably recommend if you were going to try this yourself is to do this before you add your sort of backing paper, so that sort of beigey colour paper with a font on it. I would leave that off and then I would do the crocheting. So the holes on the front are nice and neat because they've been pushed through from the front, but then you just wouldn't see the holes in the back because you'd cover it up with your paper. So that's probably the better way to go about it. But obviously this idea only came to me today. So I'm going to add the spine now. This spine is a fabric spine. You can see there's a lot of movement in the spine, there's a lot of give in the spine, which makes working in the journal much easier. And I really like working with this fabric spine. It's the first time I've had a fabric spine on a journal. I normally do a solid spine, and I like either way. I like either one. I'll be making a journal with a solid spine coming next once this journal's finished. I've just started making one actually, which is coming together really nicely. It's going to be like my second journal, and I've just cut out some fabric and set myself up to make another one to film for all of you, or you lovely lot, and I'll be sharing that as soon as I say this little mini series is finished. So I'm trimming this off. There's no sort of, I'm just trying to neaten up the edges here. There's nothing, I'm not measuring it, but I will show you the measurements in a second. I believe that my piece here ends up measuring about 4.5 inches wide by roughly 8 inches, I think it's just shy of 8 inches in length. And I've not done that on purpose, it's just worked out that way. You can cut yours if you're doing this as well, or if you try this, you can cut yours to whatever size you want it to be. You might want less overhang, you might want more overhang. So yeah, 4.5 inches wide by about 8 inches. Not that you can see it, it's very far away on this. I can't see very well, but then it's quite late, so I'm getting tired. So there's a little bit of overhang, which is what you want. You want about 1 centimetre at either end. That's probably the most important part, because you're going to fold the top and the bottom in, and then we're going to do a zigzag stitch right along the folds to secure it in place and make it nice and neat. And that's what I'll do across the top here. So I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're well. I hope you're not melting like we have been over here, although today has been pretty cool. Like there's been a nice sort of breeze, chillier breeze going on. But the last sort of week has been really hot, and us Brits, we're not equipped for it. We just can't handle the heat. So yeah, it's been nice and refreshing today. It's been nice to sit in my craft room. I wanted to get this done earlier in the week, but just the idea of sitting in there and working away on it was just melting thinking about it. So I've done, what I've needed to do this week, and I'm happy to be back in my in the zone and creating and getting these done, because I'd like them to be done now. I've got so many more ideas to share that I want to crack on with. So if you want to see some more stuff, see what's coming, hit subscribe. You can do that, it's free. So I'm trimming off the edges of the thread here. I've got quite a bit of thread to cut off because there are a few bits that didn't catch. I didn't catch with the zigzag stitch. I've used quite a small stitch, so I had to go back over them. not a problem, it's not a massive deal. And I've used white thread. You can use contrasting thread here. I have some black thread now. So my new journal will be done in black thread, nice contrasting stitching, because that makes me happy. So, but I'm committed here with the white thread now, so I have to continue on with that. And I'll be changing it over to the black thread. In fact, I've reached a point with my new journal that I can't go any further because I need to change my thread to black, and I hate changing the thread, so I only want to do it once. So, right, what I'm now doing here is bringing the signatures over to the spine. Now this is the easiest signature to add in. So the signature is the collection of papers. Pages you see here, this journal has 3 signatures. This is the middle one. So what I'm doing is I'm eyeballing it, I'm lining it up with what I think is the middle of this fabric piece. And I'm opening it out, and I'm going to bulldog clip it in place. Are these bulldog clips? Is that what these are? Pretty sure they are. They're probably not. I don't know. These clips, anyway, I'm clipping it into place. I'm going to clip it on all 4 sides just to hold the pages down, make sure nothing moves in the machine. And then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I will stitch down the centre of that signature. If at this point, or before this actually, if you've got any brittle pages, so really old book pages that are quite brittle, you probably want to use like washi tape or masking tape or something to down the spine of them, because the machine will essentially just cut them in half. And then you end up with pages for next journal. I've done that. It's so infuriating when you reach this point and it all just falls apart. So don't do it like I did it. Secure the pages. So I've sewn down the middle, and you can see here that I have left a little gap at the top and the bottom, only about 1 centimetre. This is to try and prevent that tearing of the pages. Now regular paper and some stronger papers, they won't do that. They won't tear in the middle. And the papers that I have in this journal that I believe would tear or would come apart with the stitching, I have reinforced with the masking tape. So my pages should be nice and secure. So the second signature, I am eyeballing it. I'm leaving about 1 centimetre gap between this signature and the previous one. So I use the sort of the spine, if you like, of the signatures, and I lined it up and I opened it out again about 1 centimetre in, and again clipping it in place, and I'm clipping it to the other signature, so to the other pages, because my clips aren't fat enough to go over all the pages onto the fabric. But that's okay, because that signature is secured into place. Oh my gosh, if you're following any of this, well done you. I feel like I'm talking gibberish at the minute. Anywho, let's try it again. So you can see here that I'm eyeballing the signature, and I'm making sure there's roughly about 1 centimetre gap, and I will open up the signature to the middle, holding it really well in place, and clip it down, and then sewing down the middle again. This is roughly what it's going to look like when it's all done. So what we need to do now, I need to do on mine, if you were ahead of the game and you folded your sides down and sewed them, then you can skip the step. But I'm going to add a little bit of this crochet thread to my edge just to neaten it up, because I'm cheating and doing this is much easier than sewing the edges. And the main reason I didn't sew the edge is because I know I wouldn't have been able to get a straight edge. It's as simple as that. No, I'm not a master sewer, it's not my strength, I'm not qualified in it, I'm just a person that has a sewing machine. So yeah, if I can find a way around doing it and it still looks neat and it still looks nice, then I'm all for it. So for this I'm going to glue these strips, so front and back, so you just give the edge a really nice finish. I like adding different elements, so I like the fact that this trim's on there as well, because it adds a real nice different element to the journal, a different texture, a different look perhaps. I'm literally going to glue it down. Get my fingers covered in tacky glue. If you've got nail polish on, you probably won't want to do this because this glue just strips your nail polish off. It ruins your money, but you know, whatever. When we're junk journaling, we don't care about things like that, do we? So again, just running a line of glue down there. Really simple, really straightforward. Who else, when they have a little bit of excess glue, wipes it on the back of their hand to peel off later? Is that just me? Do I just do that? Oh, I love it. It reminds me of being at school, sticking your hands in the PVA and waiting for it to dry and just peeling it off, or just covering the back of your hand in the glue to peel it all off. Oh, yep, I'm that loser. I remember doing batik, when we were doing fabric, we were doing textiles in design technology, and sticking my hand in the little vat of hot wax. Oh, pain, but it was worth it. Because when you got to peel all the hot wax off your hands, it's definitely worth it. So I'm securing this side down here. Remember to put your lid on, because it will dry out and it will go gloopy. I've got another bottle of this, it's just arrived, another bigger bottle, because I seem to be getting through a lot of Fabri-Tac at the minute. Honestly, it's a godsend, and I don't know if anybody is based in the UK and is watching and can recommend a UK Fabri-Tac equivalent, because Fabri-Tac over here, I don't know how much it costs to buy in the US, I can't imagine it's a great deal of money, but it's quite pricey over here. I mean, I get it from Amazon, so it's readily available, but it is quite pricey. So if there's like a UK sort of alternative that's a little bit cheaper maybe to get hold of, then I'd like to know what it is, please. When I buy the Fabri-Tac, because again, a lot of the junk journalers that I learned from, I watch, are American based. So that's what they use, and it definitely does the job, for sure. Just if I could find something that's a bit cheaper, I'd be really happy about that. So I've just stuck that on, and if you notice there, what I've done is, what I'm going to do here is glue about 1 centimetre in, and I'm just covering that little flap of fabric there with loads of this glue to make sure it's nice and secure and it's stuck down, and I will stick the cover, make sure it's the right way up, onto fabric. You can see I've left that centimetre gap. I'm just running my finger down to make sure no glue has oozed out. And there we go. At this point as well, on the front and back cover, you probably want to make sure that your fabric is straight. So here I'm just kind of manipulating a little bit to make sure it's straight. Otherwise it's going to look really daft, because it will be noticeable if it's not. And then trimming off the edges of that crochet thread, and that is the journal bound. That is a complete journal right there, guys. Hurrah! So lighting's changed at this point. The weather has just been the rain, and it's just been in and out, and it's getting dark and getting light again. It's just been a bit of a crazy weather day. So we have a complete journal, like I say. I will go through and add some more bits to this in the next video. I like to add some little clips and a few little embellishments to it. And you can see here the fabric spine really allows the journal to just really lay flat, and you can really work with it. You can expand it and it would just be such a nice sort of journal to work in. A hard spine doesn't really allow you that, so I just wanted to kind of show that's the reason I went for the fabric spine for this one. Again, I really like how it's turned out. I love the pages in it, I love the textures in it, and I'm hoping you love it too. And stay tuned for the next video. I will see you very shortly. And oh, I'm just showing you here that you could perhaps add like a little doily or something just to kind of spruce up the spine, maybe a bit of lace trim or something. I literally just glued that doily on there. So yes, stay tuned for the next video. I really hope you like it. I love it, and I cannot wait to completely finish it off and offer it up for sale. Exciting!